different substances. Chapter 2 is matter around us pure. How do we judge whether milk, ghee, butter, salt, spices, mineral water, or juice that we buy from the market are pure? Have you ever heard the word pure written on the packs of these consumables? For a common person, pure means having no adulteration, but for a scientist, all these things are actually mixtures of different substances and hence not pure. For example, milk is actually a mixture of water, fat, proteins, etc. When a scientist says that something is pure, it means that all the constituent particles of the substance are the same in their chemical nature. A pure substance consists of a single type of particles. In other words, a substance is a pure, single form of matter. As we look around, we can see that most of the matter around us exists as mixtures of two or more pure components. For example, seawater, minerals, soil, etc. are all mixtures. What is a mixture? Mixtures are constituted by more than one kind of pure form of matter. We know that dissolved sodium chloride can be separated from water by the physical process of evaporation. However, sodium chloride is itself a pure substance and cannot be separated by physical process into its chemical constituents. Similarly, sugar is a substance which contains only one kind of pure matter and its composition is the same throughout. Soft drink and soil are not single pure substances. Whatever the source of a pure substance may be, it will always have the same characteristic properties. Therefore, we can say that a mixture contains more than one pure substance. Types of mixtures. Depending upon the nature of the components that form a mixture, we can have different type of mixtures. Activity 2.1. Let us divide the class into groups A, B, C, D. Group A takes a beaker containing 50 ml of water and one spatula full of copper sulfate powder. Group B takes 50 ml of water and two spatula full of copper sulfate powder in a beaker. Groups C and D take different amounts of copper sulfate and potassium permanganate or common salt and mix the given components to form a mixture. Report the observations on the uniformity in color and texture. Groups A and B have obtained a mixture which has a uniform composition throughout. Such mixtures are called homogeneous mixtures or solutions. Some other examples of such mixtures are first one salt dissolved in water and second sugar dissolved in water. Compare the color of the solutions of the two groups. Though both the groups have obtained copper sulfate solution, but the intensity of the color of the solution is different. This shows that a homogeneous mixture can have a variable composition. Groups C and D have obtained mixtures which contain physically distinct parts and have no non-uniform compositions. Such mixtures are called heterogeneous mixtures. Mixtures of sodium chloride and iron filings, salt and sulfur, and oil and water are examples of heterogeneous mixtures. Activity 2.2. Let us again divide the class into four groups A, B, C, D. Distribute the following samples to each group. Few crystals of copper sulfate to group A, one spatula full of copper sulfate to group B, chalk powder or wheat flour to group C, few drops of milk or ink to group D. Each group should add the given sample in water and stir properly using a glass rod. Are the particles in the mixture visible? Direct a beam of light from a torch through the beaker containing the mixture and observe from the front. Was a part of the beam of light visible? Leave the mixtures undisturbed for a few minutes and set up the filtration apparatus in the meantime. Is the mixture stable or do the particles begin to settle after some time? Filter the mixture. Is there any residue on the filter paper? Discuss the results and form an opinion. Groups A and B have got a solution. Group C have got a suspension. Group D has got a colloidal solution. Now, we shall learn about solutions, suspensions and colloidal solutions in the following sections. So, questions based upon the following topics. First, what is meant by a substance? These are the points of differences between homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. What is a solution? A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. You come across various types of solutions in your daily life. Lemonade, soda water, etc. are all types of solutions. Usually, we think of a solution as a liquid that contains either a solid, liquid, or gas dissolved in it. But we can also have solid solutions, alloys, which means alloys, and gaseous solutions, back in the air. In a solution, there is homogeneity at the particle level. For example, lemonade tastes the same throughout. This shows that particles of sugar or salt are evenly distributed in the solution. So some information about alloys. Alloys are a mixture of two or more metals or a metal and a non-metal and cannot be separated into their components by physical methods. But still, an alloy is considered as a mixture because it shows the property of its constituents and can have variable composition. For example, brass is a mixture of approximately 30% zinc and 70% copper. So coming back, a solution has a solvent and a solute as its components. The component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it, usually the component present in large amount, is called the solvent. The component of the solution that is dissolved in the solvent, usually present in lesser quantity, is called the solute. So examples: a solution of sugar in water is called is a solid in liquid solution. In this solution, sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. A solution of iodine in alcohol, known as tincture of iodine, has iodine solid as the solute and alcohol liquid as the solvent. Aerated drinks like soda water, etc., are gas in liquid solutions. These contain carbon dioxide gas as solute and water liquid as solvent. Air is a mixture of gas and gas. Air is a homogeneous mixture of a number of gases. Its two main constituents are oxygen, which comprises around 21%, and nitrogen, 78%. The other gases are present in very small quantities. So, properties of a solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. The particles of a solution are smaller than 1 nanometer, 10 raised to minus 9 meter, in diameter, so they cannot be seen by naked eyes. Because of very small particle size, they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution, so the path of light is not visible in a solution. The solute particles cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed, that is, a solution is stable. Concentration of a solution. In activity 2.2, we observed that group A and B obtain different shades of solution. So, we understand that in a solution, the relative proportion of the solute and solvent can be varied. Depending upon the amount of solute present in a solution, it can be called a dilute, concentrated, or a saturated solution. Dilute and concentrated are comparative terms. In activity 2.2, the solution obtained by group A is dilute as compared to that obtained by group B. Activity 2.3. Take approximately 50 ml of water each in two separate beakers. Add salt in one beaker and sugar or barium chloride in the second beaker with continuous stirring. When no more solute can be dissolved, heat the components of the beaker to raise the temperature by about 5 degrees Celsius. Start adding the solute again. Is the amount of salt and sugar or barium chloride that can be dissolved in water at given temperature the same? At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much as solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be a saturated solution. In other words, when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called a saturated solution. The amount of the solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, then it is called an unsaturated solution. What would happen if you were to take a saturated solution at a certain temperature and cool it slowly? We can infer from the above activity that different substances in a given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. The concentration of a solution is the amount of mass or volume of solute present in a given amount of solution. There are various ways of expressing the concentration of a solution, but here we will learn only three methods. First one is mass by mass percentage of a solution. Mass by mass percentage of a solution is equal to mass of solute divided by mass of solution the whole into 100. Second one, mass by volume percentage of solution, which is equal to mass of solute upon volume of solution the whole into 100. Third, volume by volume percentage of a solution, which is equal to volume of solute upon volume of solution the whole into 100. Example 2.1. A solution contains 40 gram of common salt in 320 gram of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. So in solution, first of all, you have to give all the things which are given, like mass of solute, which is salt, is equal to 40 gram, mass of solvent, which is water, equal to 320 gram. Then, like, we have been given solute and solvent as masses differently, so we have to calculate the mass of solution, which is the sum of the mass of solute and the mass of solvent, which is equal to 40 plus 320, which is 360 gram. So according to mass percentage of solution, which is equal to mass of solute upon mass of solution the whole into 100, we get 40 upon 360 the whole into 100, which is 11.1%. So the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution in this given problem is 11.1%. So what is a suspension? Non-homogeneous systems like those obtained by Group C in Activity 2.2, in which solids are dispersed in liquids, are called suspensions. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solid particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Particles of a suspension are visible to the naked eye. So, properties of a suspension. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. The particles of a suspension can be seen by the naked eye. The particles of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and makes its path visible. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed, that is, a suspension is unstable. They can be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. When the particles settle down, the suspension breaks and it does not scatter light anymore. What is a colloidal solution? The mixture obtained by Group D in Activity 2.2 is called a colloid or a colloidal solution. The particles of a colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution. Due to the relatively smaller size of particles as compared to that of a suspension, the mixture appears to be homogeneous, but actually a colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture, for example milk. Because of the small size of colloidal particles, we cannot see them with naked eyes, but these particles can easily scatter a beam of visible light. This scattering of a beam of light is called the Tyndall effect, after the name of the scientist who discovered this effect. Tyndall effect can also be observed when a fine beam of light enters a room through a small hole. This happens due to the scattering of light by the particles of dust and smoke in the air. Tyndall effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest. In the forest, mist contains tiny droplets of water which act as a particles of colloid dispersed in air. Properties of a colloid. A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. The size of particles of a colloid is too small to be individually seen by naked eyes. Colloids are big enough to scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. They do not settle down when left undisturbed, that is, a colloid is quite stable. They cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration, but a special technique of separation known as centrifugation can be used to separate the colloidal particles. The components of a colloidal solution are the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium. The solute-like component or the dispersed particles in a colloid form the dispersed phase, and the component in which the dispersed phase is suspended is known as the dispersing medium. Colloids are classified according to the state solid, liquid or gas of the dispersing medium and the dispersed phase. So now I am going to tell you some few examples of these colloidal solutions. So in the first column we have the dispersed phase. In the second column we have the dispersing medium. Then we have the time, what it is called, and some examples. So dispersed phase, liquid in gas. Dispersed phase is liquid and dispersing medium is gas. So this type is called aerosol. For example, fog, clouds, mist. So solid in gas. Dispersed phase is solid. Dispersing medium is gas. Type is called aerosol, like smoke, automobile exhaust. Dispersed phase is gas. Dispersing medium is liquid. It is called as foam. Type foam, like shaving cream. Dispersed phase is liquid. Dispersing medium is liquid. This type is called emulsion. Example, milk, face cream. Dispersed phase is solid. Dispersing medium is liquid. Type salt. Example, milk or magnesia, mud. Dispersed phase is gas. Dispersing medium is solid. Example, foam. The type foam. Example, foam, rubber, sponge, pumice. Dispersed phase is liquid. Dispersing medium is solid. Type gel. Example, jelly, cheese, butter. Dispersed phase is solid. Dispersing medium is also solid. Type solid salt. Example, colored gemstone, milky glass. So, some questions based upon the above topics that we have learned. First one, differentiate between homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures with example. Question number 2, how are salt, solution and suspension different from each other? Third, to make a saturated solution, 36 gram of sodium chloride is dissolved in 100 gram of water at 293 Kelvin. Find its concentration at this temperature. So, 2.3, separating the components of a mixture. We have learned that most of the natural substances are not chemically pure. Different methods of separation are used to get individual components from a mixture. Separation makes it possible from a mixture Separation makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. Heterogeneous mixtures can be separated into their respective constituents by simple physical methods like hand picking, sieving, filtration that we use in our day-to-day life. Sometimes special techniques have to be used for the separation of the components of a mixture. How can we obtain colored component dye from blue/black ink? Activity 2.4. Fill half a beaker with water. Put a watch glass on the mouth of the beaker. Put few drops of ink on the watch glass. Now start heating the beaker. We do not want to heat the ink directly. You will see that evaporation is taking place from the watch glass. Continue heating as the evaporation goes on and stop heating when you do not see any further change on the watch glass. Observe carefully and record your observations. Now answer. What do you think has got evaporated from the watch glass? Is there a residue on the watch glass? What is your interpretation? Is ink a simple substance pure or is it a mixture? We find that ink is a mixture of a dye in water. Thus, we can separate the volatile component solvent from its non-volatile solute by the method of evaporation. How can we separate cream from milk? Nowadays, we get full cream, toned and double toned varieties of milk packed in polypacks or tetra packs in the market. These varieties of milk contain different amounts of fat. Activity 2.5. Take some full cream milk in a test tube. Centrifugate it by using a centrifuging machine. Centrifuge it by using a centrifuging machine for 2 minutes. If a centrifuging machine is not available in the school, you can do this activity at home by using a milk churner used in the kitchen. If you have a milk dairy nearby, visit it and ask how they separate cream from milk and how they make cheese, packet mein paneer from milk. Now answer. What do you observe on churning the milk? Explain how the separation of cream from milk takes place. Sometimes the solid particles in liquid are very small and pass through a filter paper. For such particles, the filtration technique cannot be used for separation. Such mixtures are separated by centrifugation. The principle is that the denser particles are forced to the bottom and the lighter particles stay at the top when spun rapidly. Applications used in diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine tests, used in dairies and home to separate butter from cream, used in washing machines to squeeze out water from wet clothes. How can we separate a mixture of two immiscible liquids? Let us try to separate kerosene oil from water using a separating funnel. Pour the mixture of kerosene oil and water in a separating funnel. Let it stand undisturbed for some time so that separate layers of oil and water are formed. Open the top cork of the separating funnel and pour out the lower layer of the water carefully. Close the top cork of the separating funnel as the oil reaches the top cork. As the oil reaches the top cork. Applications to separate mixture of oil and water. In the extraction of iron from its ore, the lighter slag is removed from the top by this method to leave the molten iron at the bottom in the furnace. The principle is that immiscible liquids separate out in layers depending on their densities. How can we separate a mixture of salt and camphor? We have learned in chapter 1 that camphor changes directly from solid to gaseous state on heating. So to separate such mixtures that contain a sublime volatile component from a non-sublimable impurity, the sublimation process is used. Some examples of solids which sublime are ammonium chloride, naphthalene, and anthracene. Is the dye in black ink a single color? Take a thin strip Take a thin strip of filter paper. Draw a line on it using a pencil approximately 3 cm above the lower edge. Put a small ink of drop, water soluble, that is from a sketch pen or fountain pen, at the center of the line. Let it dry. Lower the filter paper into a jar or glass or beaker test tube containing water so that the drop of ink on the paper is just above the water level. As shown in the figure 2. As shown in the below figure, leave it undisturbed. Watch carefully as the water rises up on the filter paper. Record your observations. Now answer. What do you observe on the filter paper as the water rises on it? Do you obtain different colors on the filter paper? What, according to you, can be the reason for the rise of the color spot on the paper strip? The ink that we use has water as the solvent, and the dye is soluble in it. As the water rises on the filter paper, it takes along with it the dye particles. Usually, a dye is a mixture of two or more colors. The colored component that is more soluble in water rises faster, and in this way the colors get separated. This process of separation of components of a mixture is known as chromatography. Chroma in Greek means color. This technique was first used for separation of colors, so this name was given. Chromatography is a technique used for separation of those solutes that dissolve in the same solvent. With the advancement in technologies, newer techniques of chromatography have been developed. You will study about chromatography in higher classes. Applications to separate colors in a dye, pigments from natural colors, drugs from blood. How can we separate a mixture of two miscible liquids? Let us try to separate acetone and water from the mixture. Take the mixture in a distillation flask. Fit it with a thermometer. Arrange the apparatus as shown in figure 2.9. Heat the mixture slowly, keeping a close watch at the thermometer. The acetone vaporizes, condenses in the condenser, and can be collected from the condenser outlet. Water is left behind in the distillation flask. Now answer. What do you observe as you start heating the mixture? At what temperature does the thermometer reading become constant for some time? What is the boiling point of acetone? Why do the two components separate? This method is called distillation. It is used for the separation of components of a mixture containing two miscible liquids that boil without decomposition and have sufficient difference in their boiling points. To separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids for which the difference in boiling point is less than 25 Kelvin, fraction distillation process is used. For example, for the separation of different gases from air, different fractions from petroleum products, etc. The apparatus is similar to that for simple distillation, except that the fractionating column is fitted in between the distillation flask and the condenser. A simple fractionating column is a tube packed with glass beads. The beads provide surface for the vapors to cool and condense repeatedly. 2.3.7. How can we obtain different gases from air? Air is a homogeneous mixture and can be separated into components by fractional distillation. So the phlogram is like air above, The arrow below compressed and cooled by increasing pressure and decreasing temperature and gets converted into liquid air. Then liquid air can converted into its components by allowed to warm up slowly in fraction distillation component column, and gases get separated at different heights. So we get oxygen, argon, nitrogen, whose boiling points are -183, -186, -196 degrees Celsius respectively, and percentage air by volume is 20.9, 0.9, 78.1% respectively. If we want oxygen gas from air, we have to separate out all the other gases present in the air. The air is compressed by increasing the pressure and is then cooled by decreasing the temperature to get liquid air. Like mentioned in the above flow diagram, this liquid air is allowed to warm up slowly in a fraction distillation column, where gases get separated at different heights depending upon their boiling points. Arrange the following. Arrange the gases present in air in increasing order of their boiling points. Which gas which gas forms the liquid first as the air is cooled? How can we obtain pure copper sulfate from an impure sample? Activity 2.9. Take some impure sample of copper sulfate in a china dish. Dissolve it in minimum amount of water. Filter the impurities out. Evaporate water from the copper sulfate solution so as to get a saturated solution. Cover the solution with a filter paper and leave it undisturbed at room temperature to cool slowly for a day. You will obtain the crystals of copper sulfate in the china dish. This process is called crystallization. Now answer. What do you observe in the china dish? Do the crystals look alike? How will you separate the crystals from the liquid in the china dish? The crystallization method is used to purify solids. For example, the salt we get from seawater can have many impurities in it. To remove these impurities, the process of crystallization is used. Crystallization is a process that separates a pure solid in the form of its crystal from a solution. Crystallization technique is better than simple evaporation technique as some solids decompose or some like sugar may get charred or heated to dryness. Here charred means dissolved. Some impurities may remain dissolved in the solution even after filtration. On evaporation, these contaminate the solid. Applications: purification of salt that we get from seawater, separation of crystals of alum from impure samples. Thus, by choosing one of the above methods according to the nature of the components of a mixture, we get a pure substance. With advancements in technology, many more methods of separation techniques have been devised. In cities, drinking water is supplied from waterworks. From the figure of typical waterworks, we get that the process involved to get the supply of drinking water to your home from the word waterworks and discuss it in your class. So questions based upon the above lesson topic that we learned. How will you separate a mixture containing kerosene and petrol? Difference in their boiling points is more than 25 degrees Celsius, which are miscible with each other. Question number 2. Name the technique to separate butter from curd, salt from seawater, camphor from salt. Question number 3. What type of mixtures are separated by the technique of crystallization? So I am going to tell you about the water purification system in waterworks which was discussed earlier. So there is reservoir. From there the water goes to the sedimentation tank to allow the solids to settle down, and from there it goes to the loading tank to sediment the suspended impurities, further suspended impurities. Then it goes to the filtration tank, which contains of gross gravel at the bottom, which is used to separate water, fine sand, gravel. So from there the water is given to the one more tank where chlorination takes place, means adding chlorine to the water to kill the bacteria, and from there you get the water to home. So now let's talk about physical and chemical changes. In the previous chapter we have learned about a few physical properties of matter, the properties that can be observed and specified like color, hardness, rigidity, fluidity, density, melting point, boiling point, etc. are physical properties. The interconversion of states is a physical change because these changes occur without a change in composition and no change in the chemical nature of the substance. Although ice, water, and water vapor all look different and display different physical properties, they are chemically the same. Both water and cooking oil are liquid, but the chemical characteristics are different. They differ in odor and inflammability. We know that oil burns in air whereas water extinguishes fire. If it is this chemical property of oil that makes it different from water. Burning is a chemical change. During this process, one substance reacts with another to undergo change in chemical composition. Chemical change brings change in the chemical properties of matter and we get new substances. A chemical change is also called a chemical reaction. During burning of candle, both physical and chemical changes take place. Can you distinguish these? So there are some questions based upon the above topics. Question number 1. Classify the following as chemical or physical changes. Cutting of trees, melting of butter in a pan, roasting of almira, boiling of water to form steam, passing of electric current through water and the water breaking down into hydrogen and oxygen gas, dissolving common salt in water, making a fruit salad with raw fruits, and burning of paper and wood. Try segregating the things around you as pure substances or mixtures. What are the types of pure substances? On the basis of the chemical composition, substances can be classified either as elements or compounds. Elements. Robert Boyle was the first scientist to use the term element in 1661. Antoine Laurent Lavoisier, a French chemist, was the first to establish an experimentally useful definition of an element. He defined an element as a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into simpler substances by chemical reactions. Elements can be normally divided into metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Metals usually show some or all of the following properties. They have luster, which means shine. They have silvery gray or golden yellow color. They conduct heat and electricity. They are ductile. They are malleable. Here, ductile means can be drawn into wires, and malleable means can be hammered into thin sheets. They are sonorous, making a ringing sound when hit. Examples of metals are gold, silver, copper, iron, sodium, potassium, etc. Mercury is the only metal that is liquid at room temperature. Non-metals usually show some or all of the following properties. They display a variety of colors. They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. They are not lustrous, sonorous, malleable. Examples of nonmetals are hydrogen, oxygen, iodine, carbon, which means coal, coke, bromine, chlorine, etc. Some elements have intermediate properties between those of metals and nonmetals. They are called metalloids. Examples are boron, silicon, germanium, etc. So, some extra information. The number of elements known at present are more than 100. 92 elements are naturally occurring and the rest are man-made. Majority of the elements are solid. 11 elements are in the gaseous state at room temperature. 2 elements are liquid at room temperature, mercury and bromine. Elements gallium, cesium become liquid at a temperature slightly above room temperature, 303 Kelvin. Compounds. A compound is a substance composed of two or more elements chemically combined with one another in a fixed proportion. What do we get when two or more elements are combined? Activity 2.10. Divide the class into two groups. Give 5 grams of iron fillings and 3 grams of sulfur powder in a china dish to both the groups. Group 1. Mix and crush iron filings and sulfur powder. Group 2. Mix and crush iron filings and sulfur powder. Heat this mixture strongly till red hot. Remove from flame and let the mixture cool. Groups 1 and 2. Check for magnetism in the material obtained. Bring a magnet near the material and check if the material is attracted towards the magnet. Compare the texture and color of the material obtained by the two groups. Add carbon disulfide to one part of the material obtained. Stir well and filter. Add dilute sulfuric acid or dilute hydrochloric acid to the other part of the material obtained. Note: teacher supervision is necessary for this activity. Perform all the above steps with both the elements. iron, and sulfur separately. So now answer. Did the material obtained by the two groups look the same? Which material has obtained a material with magnetic properties? Can we separate the components of the material obtained? On adding dilute sulfuric acid or dilute hydrochloric acid, did both the groups obtain a gas? Did the gas in both the cases smell the same or different? The gas obtained by group 1 is hydrogen. It is colorless, odorless, and combustible. It is not advised to do the combustion test for hydrogen in the class. The gas obtained by group 2 is hydrogen disulfide. It is a colorless gas with the smell of rotten eggs. You must have observed that the products obtained by the two groups show different properties, though the starting materials were the same. Group 1 has carried out the activity involving a physical change, whereas in case of Group 2, a chemical change, that means a chemical reaction has taken place. The materials obtained by Group 1 is a mixture of two substances. The substance the substances given are the elements iron and sulfur. The properties of the mixture are the same as that of its constituents. The material obtained by group 2 is a compound. On heating the two elements strongly, we get a compound which has totally different properties compared to the combining elements. The composition of a compound is the same throughout. We can also observe that the texture and the color of the compound are the same throughout. Thus, we can summarize the physical and chemical nature of matter in the following graphical organization. In the following graphical organizer, matter which gets distributed into two pure substance and mixtures. Pure substance gets divided into two elements compound, where elements cannot be broken down to simple uh, uh, cannot be broken down into simpler substances, and compounds have fixed composition, can be broken down into elements by chemical or electrochemical reactions. Example of elements are copper, oxygen, iron, hydrogen, mercury, etc. Example of compounds are water, methane, sugar, salt, etc. So coming back to mixtures, mixtures have no fixed composition and can be divided into two: homogeneous, non-homogeneous. Homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous, uniform composition; heterogeneous, non-uniform composition. Example of homogeneous: sugar in water, salt in water, sulfur in carbon disulfide, water in alcohol. Heterogeneous example: sand and salt, sugar and salt, water and oil. So differentiate between mixtures and compounds. Elements or compounds just mix together to form a mixture and no new compound is formed. Elements react together to form new compounds. In mixtures, a mixture has a variable composition. The composition of each new substance is always fixed in compounds. A mixture shows the properties of the constituent substances. The new substance has totally different properties in compounds. In mixtures, the constituents can be separated fairly easily by physical methods. In compounds, the constituents can be separated only by chemical or electrochemical reactions. So, what have you learned? So, summary of the whole lesson chapter. A mixture contains more than one substance, element, and/or compound mixed in any proportion. Mixtures can be separated into pure substances using appropriate separation techniques. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. The major component of a solution is called the solvent and the minor the solute. The concentration of a solution is the amount of solute present per unit volume or per unit mass of the solution. Materials that are insoluble in a solvent and have particles that are visible to naked eyes form a suspension. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. Colloids are heterogeneous mixture in which the particle size is too small to be seen with the naked eye but is big enough to scatter light. Colloids are useful in industry and daily life. The particles are called the dispersed phase, and the medium in which the particles are distributed is called the dispersion medium. Pure substances can be elements or compounds. An element is a form of matter that cannot be broken down by chemical reactions into simpler substances. A compound is a substance composed of two or more different types of elements chemically combined in a fixed proportion. Properties of a compound are different from its constituent elements, whereas a mixture shows the properties of its constituent elements or compounds. So some exercises. Write the steps you would use for making tea. Use the words solution, solvent, solute, dissolve, soluble, insoluble, filtrate, and residue. Explain the following giving examples: saturated solution, pure substance, colloid, suspension. Classify each of the following as homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture: soda water, wood, air, soil, vinegar, filtered tea. Question: how would you confirm that the colorless liquid given to you is a pure water? Identify the solutions among the following mixtures: soil, seawater, air, coal, soda water. Which of the following we show Tyndall effect? Salt solution, milk, copper sulfate solution, starch solution. Classify the following into elements, compounds and mixtures: sodium, soil, sugar solution, silver, calcium carbonate, tin, silicon, coal, air, soap, methane, carbon dioxide, blood. Which of the following are chemical changes? Growth of a plant, rusting of iron, mixing of iron fillings and sand, cooking of food, digestion of food, freezing of water, burning of a candle. So this ends the chapter, and thank you for listening to this chapter. We will meet once again. Thank you. Once again. Thank you. Once again. Thank you. Once again. Thank you. Once again. Thank you.